How does one debug a program written in emoji? Debugging a program written in emoji can be a unique and challenging task, as emoji are often used to convey emotions or ideas rather than as a means of programming. However, with the rise of emoji-based programming languages and the increasing use of emoji in programming, it's becoming more important to understand how to debug code written in this way. The first step in debugging a program written in emoji is to understand the structure and syntax of the language. Emoji-based programming languages typically use a combination of emoji characters to represent different types of commands or functions. For example, a smiley face may represent a print command, while a thumbs up may represent a loop function. It's important to familiarize yourself with the specific emoji characters and their meanings in the programming language you're using. Once you have a basic understanding of the structure and syntax of the language, you can begin to look for errors in your code. One of the most common sources of errors in emoji-based programming is typos, such as using the wrong emoji character or using an emoji in the wrong context. For example, using a thumbs down instead of a thumbs up in a loop function could cause the program to behave incorrectly. Another common source of errors in emoji-based programming is logic errors, which occur when the code is written correctly but does not produce the desired outcome. For example, using a smiling face emoji in a condition statement instead of a neutral face emoji could cause the program to execute incorrectly. One of the best ways to debug emoji-based code is to use a code editor or integrated development environment (IDE) that supports emoji-based programming. Many modern IDEs include features such as syntax highlighting, code completion, and error checking, which can make it much easier to spot and fix errors in your code. Additionally, it's important to use a consistent naming convention for your variables and functions, so that it's easy to identify and understand what the code is doing. This will make it easier to identify any errors that may occur. Another key strategy for debugging emoji-based code is to break down the code into smaller pieces and test each piece separately. This will allow you to isolate and identify the source of any errors more easily. It's also a good practice to use comments in your code, as they can help explain what the code is doing and make it easier to understand. This can be particularly helpful when debugging, as it can make it easier to identify where errors are occurring and what they might be caused by. Another important practice to debug emoji-based code is to use version control software like Git. This allows you to save different versions of your code and easily switch between them if you encounter problems. You can also use Git to collaborate with other people on a project, which can be particularly useful if you're working on a large project with multiple contributors. Finally, it's important to remember to take breaks and stay patient when debugging emoji-based code. Troubleshooting and debugging can be a time-consuming and frustrating process, and it's easy to get caught up in the details and lose sight of the bigger picture. Taking a step back and coming back to the problem with fresh eyes can often help you to see things in a different light and find a solution more quickly. In conclusion, debugging a program written in emoji can be a unique and challenging task, but by understanding the structure and syntax of the language, using a code editor or IDE that supports emoji-based programming, breaking down the code into smaller pieces, using comments, version control software, and taking breaks, it can be done effectively.